Hello, everyone, and welcome to a webinar series brought to you by Lynwood Charlton Centre by the GPS Home and School programs. We're actually going to be covering a program called Skills for Psychological Recovery. And this is the first webinar in a series of 6 that we are going to share the responsibility amongst our team members to bring you the information. So while you're watching, you'll get to see part of the team members and get a sense of what we're all about. So before I really begin, I should tell you who I am. My name is Patty Fraser, and I am a team leader of the GPS school program. The GPS is Guiding Partnerships and Solutions program here at Lynwood, and we have a program that's geared for home services and for school services. And we understand that right now at this time, a lot of people are feeling the crunch. So in terms of taking care of their own well-being and their mental health. So the team decided that this was important for us to bring you something, and this is the program that was decided upon. So as always, Lynwood is in a position to bring you evidence-based and highly researched programs that are, and this one in particular, is for trauma and potential disaster victims. And, you know, I think it's pretty fitting right now that we acknowledge that everybody's going through a hard time and during this epidemic or pandemic. And we need to think about what we're experiencing more as trauma impact. And we're here to give you some skills that you can start using immediately. Being cooped up for long periods of time with all family members has its challenges. And if you're already a family who struggles with mental health issues, then it's probably really important for you to use some skills to help you through it. So enjoy. Each webinar is only about 15 minutes in length. The Skills for Psychological Recovery is brought to you by the National Child Traumatic Stress Network and the National Center for PTSD and a whole bunch of other really important people that endorse this to help through crisis and trauma work. Yes, I'll get into the other later. Okay, so let's move on here. Now, the SPR has 6 skills that we're going to cover. Today, we're just going to go through the whole overview of SPR and the first skill. So, okay, why did we choose this program, and why do we believe that this is a program that can be helpful to you? Well, we know that our community programs wanted to direct our parents and caregivers in some kind of way, give them skills right now in the moment. If they can't access services or they can't find other resources, or maybe it's just a matter of finding the basic skills of coping right now. Maybe it's not deeper end treatment for mental health. It's still a really good program that helps you break down the skills of survival. And certainly this is a time for us to be surviving. So the skills can be used by adults, children, and youth. But we've really geared these webinars towards our parents and our caregivers. Most of the skills can be adapted to teach your child. So if you're in a position to have lots of children around, perhaps some of these skills could be helpful in helping them cope with all of the changes they're experiencing right now. So how can SPR help? Well, it really does break down a number of skills for you to, and then gives you a lot of practical ideas on how to actually implement the skills and practice the skills. All of the skills can be built upon, which is fantastic because it really is fitting with a lot of our um, core values at Lynwood, definitely, and a lot of treatment centers in our community. So it's very user friendly. And like I said, you can take away skills right now and be able to use them and practice them. So it is not necessary, however, to watch every single webinar. I encourage you to watch the first one because then you'll have an overview and understanding. So I'm really glad you're here. And there's so much in the program. We couldn't bring you every single piece of the program, but we do definitely have links to resources for you and the information to help get you to that website so you can get some of the handouts or look at some of the examples of how to practice the skills every day. So the idea of the SPR is to be able to, let's see here, build resiliency and strength, which doesn't have to really have anything to do with trauma. So that's why the program is so, it's adjustable, it's flexible. You can build on your resiliency and strength skills without having to be in huge crisis. But if you do have immediate safety concerns, I just want to direct you to the little Get Help Now. There is a little video or a little box on our screen that will give you some information. If there are immediate concerns, we don't want to ignore those at all. As mentioned earlier, you saw the community resources link. That will be here for you. And that's where you can actually access the SPR handouts. If you like something you see in the video and you think, yeah, I'm going to go check it out, they are available to the public. So that's really good news. Okay, basically, here are the overall principles and techniques of SPR. They meet 4 basic standards. So, as mentioned earlier, consistent with research and evidence on risk and resilience following trauma. It's applicable and practical in field settings. Appropriate for developmental levels across the lifespan, and it's culturally informed. So this is all the evidence they've done on how the program has rolled out, and we will take from it what we can to help you guys right now. So it's important to highlight as well that SPR differs from treatment. It places the emphasis on right now helping in kind of survivor mode, just getting through the daily chaos and the daily stress that you may have been experiencing over the last little bit. Actually, not little bit, it feels like a lot longer. And chances are it could be much longer. So basically it helps you regain a sense of control and competence. So right now we're all suffering the impact of having to change our lives so drastically. Our limbic system is working overtime, and we're feeling anxious, and sometimes we're feeling catapulted into fight, flight, or freeze because everything's changed, and we're really, really trying to cope with that change. And change can be really, really stressful and tends to have a domino effect. And there's been so much change going on that has impacted our thinking. And it's really, really important to acknowledge that. All right, so the skills themselves. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to, as I explain them to you, I'm going to take my marker here So the first skill, which is what we are doing today, is information and prioritizing assistance. So a way to understand the most pressing needs and concerns right now. So you can prioritize a plan and then go on to pick the other skills in the program. So, although prioritizing information is probably something you think of professionals doing at the beginning of service, we really encourage you to get yourself organized, pull together your information, know what you're do an inventory, sit down and talk to family members, talk to a friend, have a journal beside you, get that pen to paper and jot down some things that are really, really stressing you out or pressing right now. And that will help you figure out what is the most important thing and where do I start. Because sometimes what happens is when we have so much on our mind, we end up just shutting down because we can't see the forest for the trees. It's really difficult to figure out what to do first when you're overwhelmed by a lot of things. So that's the first step. The second, one of the skills that we get into is our lovely problem solving skills, which is skill number 2. And building problem solving skills is a method of defining a problem and a goal. You learn how to brainstorm solutions without any kind of judgment, and then going through what some of the potential solutions are. So it really helps you break down the steps of problem solving. The next one skill that is really, really important for, it's not like I'm really doing anything to these except playing with my pen. It just seems to be a fun thing to do right now. Oh, I apologize. I should stop this and get focused on my positive activities. I really felt like that was a positive activity, though, so I went with it. Anyways, promoting positive activities, a way to improve mood and functioning by identifying and engaging in positive and pleasurable activities. We know that that skill can bring you sometimes the only joy you have in midst of a crisis or chaos or disaster. So it's really important, even though maybe you don't feel like planning those positive activities, it's really an important skill to use to keep a balance and to get some of those natural chemicals going, that help you feel better. That's a great one. Managing reactions. This is a huge one. As all of you out there know, we have lots of feelings and emotions, and they can all come at once. It's not just one, it's not just two, it can be many, many, many emotions and reactions to situations that get all muddled together in a big ball of stress. So this is a really good skill to be able to understand what your body might be feeling. There's skills to cope with and reduce stress, physical and emotion reactions to upsetting situations. Some really basic ones. It's a huge, huge skill, and there's lots of handouts that kind of help you manage both adult experiences and child experiences with managing reactions. So we encourage you to check that skill out. The next one is helpful thinking. Helpful thinking, one of my faves. Helpful thinking is steps to identify upsetting thoughts and to counter these thoughts with less upsetting ones. So really, it's mastering the skill of being able to change your negative thoughts into positive thoughts. It's really a cognitive behavioral therapy strategy that's used in so many programs because it is evidence-based and it really does work. And we do have the power within us to be able to practice that. It's not always easy, but I think the more you practice, the better you get at finding those positives and finding the good thoughts that help you through. The last skill that we will be offering a webinar on is healthy connections. And rebuilding healthy connections is a way to rebuild positive relationships and community supports. And this is really important, especially during this time where we've been quarantined and we've had the experience of being far away from our loved ones and not being able to enjoy those healthy connections, or enjoying them, but enjoying them from a distance. And that really takes its toll. And some of the feedback I've heard is that that's one of the hardest ones, is we're feeling like we're losing those healthy connections. So there's some ways, and then it gets really even that much more difficult to get back out there and to rebuild those connections after being isolated. So that is definitely one of the skills. We think that will be helpful for you at this time. I better do something to it. Healthy connections. Beautiful. All right. So it is our hope that we can provide you with like a realistic picture of what SPR can and cannot accomplish. So it has both strengths and it has some limitations, and that's important for you to know. As mentioned earlier, it's not counseling. It is more of a coaching situation and a skill building opportunity. You will, however, though, probably learn some of the language if you are looking for services or you are involved in the mental health, with mental health services. You might find an overlap of some of the language that we use and some of the skills we use in treatment. But the SPR is not a treatment program. It's skills that we're bringing you now in a time of need that you can use right this moment. I think that's really important, so everybody can gain access to helpful strategies. So I think that's it for that. So we want to keep going under difficult circumstances. We want to give you the hope and maintain and improve on already existing strengths. A lot of us can really get stuck because of all of the change. And so this really helps you to become unstuck and do things more efficiently. It helps you feel more comfortable reporting difficulties and challenges. Might give you a little bit more confidence in asking for help. And it could decrease and trying to eliminate doing things that could be destructive or unhealthy. So finding more positive coping strategies.